Good evening. You're listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting to you live from the Pine Hills Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida, here on a balmy September evening. I've got RDV with me, and I'm doing a very long intro and ad-libbing in my best wannabe Brett Musburger type delivery, simply because, unfortunately, we're going to be discussing the new Netflix movie starring, if you want to call it that, Kevin Hart, Mark Wahlberg, called Me Time. And I got to say, RDV, I try not to be the bad guy, but I'll wear that crown when needed, because out of all of us here on the Extreme Movie Show, I like to be the most cynical. And I don't want to shit on everything. And I don't want to be the black pill guy saying everything sucks, we got to whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? This movie with Kevin Hart, Me Time, it's bad. It's painful. It's horrible. These guys are getting paid millions of dollars for this crap, because that's what it is. There's nothing redeeming about it. And even the stuff they try to do that you go, oh, maybe that might make me go, ha, like Marky Mark's ass sticking out, whatever, and vomit. Two things which I personally love in movies. That this thing just does not work. It's an epic fail. However, it's still better than Lord of the Rings. So it's got that going for it, which I don't know what that means, but it's kind of sad we have to watch this, but every now and then it happens. So let me shut up and let you talk about what your initial thoughts were on this Kevin Hart extravaganza.
I mean, when you find a movie that you'd rather watch Howard the Duck than watch this, Howard the Duck is not a great movie either.
It's awful,
But I
but it's at
mean,
least more entertaining than this.
this, like I said, I was telling you, this felt like, hey, Mark Wahlberg's like, let's do another other guys movie. But wait, I can't get Will Ferrell, so
You're right. I think of that. It's like the other guys.
uh, and uh, the best part about this whole entire movie is the opening credits when they show like them as kids, like in the opening credits, Mark Wahlberg and
Marky Mark
yeah, Marky Mark, Funky Marky Mark,
and
you
Little
know,
Heart.
yep, Little Heart. uh, like the photoshopping and all that was great. Or it really made me laugh though. But is when they're supposed to be on their 29th birthday, or Mark Wahlberg's 29th birthday, but the dude looked like he looks 50. You can't. They try to make him look young. He's supposed to.
Huh?
Look, they're out. So basically, they're wearing like those um what are those gliding suits?
Yeah.
Flying squirrel suits. And what's his name? Kevin Hart chickens out. He's gonna leave, but the helicopter takes off and pushes him backwards. Then Marky Mark goes to his rescue and saves him. Now it was up at that point. I was laughing, and then you see the birds hit up Kevin Hart. I was like, oh really? That's gonna go with that, But like that, like it's like you had a good joke going, and then it instantly bombed, and that's basically what this movie was. Him supposed to be, apparently the whole movie plot is basically that Kevin Hart's stay-at-home dad, and he basically finds himself with me time for the first time in years while his wife and his kids are away, and he basically reconnects with his former best friend Huck, who's a crazy guy, the single guy, who he's been avoiding, and yeah, and meanwhile his wife's being hit on by this environmentalist weirdo, you know. Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's like I've seen this movie before, but I've seen it done better. You know?
Yeah, but basically almost any other movie, because I tell you, we don't mind buddy comedies, and in here, of course, they modernize it where Kevin Hart is the completely emasculated stay-at-home daddy who's the glue guy or the glue person, whatever you want to call it. Wife's completely disinterested in him, but they make it all so vanilla and no, he's not really hitting on me, and he's trying to be nice about it. Yes, he is hitting on you. That's why he sent you a text late at night that's not, professional, and he's touching her in an inappropriate manner. And I just go, I get this movie's supposed to be a comedy, but when I'm watching them at dinner together and the guy does it in front of it, it's like he didn't even step up. Kevin Hart's a gym guy, even though he's a little guy. The other guy's such a wimp. It's like, oh, I can see what he's doing. And so the whole idea is that she gets the opportunity of a lifetime if she works with this guy as an architect, because of course she's the breadwinner, that she could, do something she never do before. But then they realize when he takes some time off, and she allegedly does, that things aren't exactly what they seem, and they realize they need each other at the end and all that. And I was almost waiting for a reveal from Marky Mark's character because he plays a guy that appears to be on top of things. He's really good at throwing parties. And they go out into the desert and have their own like Burning Man thing, which is like so 10 years ago. And all the people around him, it's boring. It doesn't even work. I mean, and it's awful. And I'm watching this going, okay, something's gonna be different. Something has to change, right? No, Kevin Hart goes to take his bucket up the hill to go take a crap there because they do it in an eco-friendly manner where you take your waste, and I can understand that. But of course he's met by the really disgustingly almost cute CGI uh panther or whatever, not even panther, whatever, mountain lion, and whose mama comes and finds him and attacks him. And it's just, I don't know where in any room this seemed like it was going to be funny or good or haha, I got you. And then there's the annoying ginger guy that tries to get in all the cocaine allegedly induced jokes. He's not funny. Nothing is funny in here.
No, the other dad, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, is like, because he's like Kevin Hart's character is supposed to be like the perfect PTA guy, the president of the PTA. So he gets everybody likes him and stuff, and then so for this guy, he basically he's a jerk, he's selfish, doesn't care about him, and just is like, wow, I got dropped. He almost hits him, pulling him up, pulls him in his van, and that's the other thing. Oh, it brings up another thing. His son constantly watching Eddie Murphy Raw.
Yeah, because that's supposed to be funny. Ha 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 ha. It's
A kid today watching Eddie Murphy's Raw, these kids would understand it and they would be offended by it. They'd want to cancel Eddie Murphy.
oh yeah.
The kid would be they could be watching Shrek. That's what they'd
Yeah.
be watching.
Well, let me ask you. They have one character in there that ends up not necessarily being a big role, but you do see her, and it's the parking attendant, the older lady. They
Yep.
make fun of her and all that too. And of course, she comes out, even though she's kind of very tall, big, and butch, and a husky voice, talks about how when she left the FBI, she did this part timer. She goes, "I know what you guys think of me." And of course, it's like, what's the whole point in this? Oh, that he misunderstood, something like it, that it's okay to be happy in his role as a stay-at-home dad. Of course it is. So here's what they do. They decide to, instead of stepping up to the guy that allegedly is hitting on the wife and all that too, they find PC ways of trying to get back at the guy to send a message. So what do? Well, she's out of town visiting her grandparents up in the Seattle Puget Sound area up there. Beautiful country, by the way. Um, and while the guy flies in on his own plane to basically, offer her a job, and everybody's cool with that, which, whatever. Kevin Hart and Marky Mark decide to bond over going over to this guy's mansion in Beverly Hills, wherever it's at. And they decide to do things that are really upsetting, like they empty his spice selection out in the kitchen. He
It's
goes to take a poop on the guy's bed, and that's a big deal. And of course, it comes out like a rabbit turd. They make fun of each other about how it should be. It's not a man's turd. They, of course, inadvertently run over the turtle, the giant one that they have, and they drop it off or whatever. And at this point, I'm going, I hope this guy sticks it all sorts of ways into your wife and sends you photographs while he's doing it, and your kids get it. Because right now, I've got nobody to root for. I got nothing to laugh at. There's nothing going on. This is beyond tiring. It's
well,
just awful.
it's like they watched the other guys and they watched Horrible Bosses and said, like, let's make a movie, combine them together, and we'll put Kevin Hart, with his wife, he being hit on by somebody else and kind of accepting it, but not realizing it because that's how dumb she is. It's like, what? No, nope, bro. That's not how life works. And it wasn't a comedy. It was just a crap fest.
What woman does not know when a man's hitting on her? Oh, I just thought he was trying to be friendly. Are you kidding me?
No,
Your
she tried to
boss
be
put
friendly.
her arms around it and everything else there too. She's the only one out of everybody that didn't even see what was going on. It's like, are you kidding me? Oh, like I said, they get paid millions of dollars for this. The joke's on us because they're having fun going through the motions as you're watching this or whatever. And yeah, it's just because you've got big names on something doesn't mean that it's done well. We talked recently about off screen about Lord of the Rings, and I've talked about how I think it's an epic failure, and not even for the all the PC reasons, but it brings up an interesting thing, and I think that companies, we can go ahead and say this, and I think sometimes it goes into actors as well. When you get a company like Netflix that spends a lot of money on just producing hours of content because they have to spend their money on licensing and their own original stuff, it's understandable you're going to get a lot of stuff of what I'll call questionable or barely passable quality, just in general, and that's fine. You'll get hit and misses with your favorite actors or actresses. But when you get a company like Amazon that's basically in their own minds too big to fail, that pauses reviews on Lord of the Rings to prevent what they call, all the trolls, swarming and making all these bad negative reviews. There was a time when the big company would go, wait a minute, we're getting a review bombed horribly. Let's fix our product. Let's try to understand why the customer won't give us their money. And let's just say, you know what, my bad here. Let's fix it. And instead, they go on the offensive, say that everybody that's doing it doesn't know what's talking about, that they don't understand the concepts. And it's very patronizing and it's very insulting to sit there and say, you really don't know what you're talking about, even though you're watching our, obscenely produced show. You have no idea what you're talking about. And I thought to myself, really? It's one thing to have that attitude. It's another thing to express it. And it's another thing to go completely in the opposite direction where you feel entitled that if you don't like what you're doing, screw you. And that's exactly what's going on here, because this movie, Me Time on Netflix, regardless of whether it's spiked to the #1 movie of whatever day it came out on or wherever it's ranked, it's considered the worst ranked movie, I think, out of either one of those actors' catalogs, which, okay, you're going to have a stinker, right? You're going to have more than one movie. Something's got to be the best. Something's got to be the worst. But it just goes to show that, despite all these big companies plagiarizing and having bots and trying to tweak views, they're really going out of their way to sit there and let everybody know that you as a viewer don't matter and don't care. And it's okay that we put out this garbage because it's proof that you guys are willing to spend money on it and everything else too. So I can't be mad at this movie being made. So I just I'll start doing dishes while this is on. I'll start vacuuming the carpet. I'll just let it play in the background and look at it whenever something comes up, because it's that bad of a movie. And even though I wasn't the biggest fan of what was it, Daybreak or whatever, the vampire movie
Day
with Jamie
Shift.
Foxx, Day Shift,
Yeah.
at least that's got an interesting idea behind it, and at least it seemed like they were into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't feel that here at all. Did you?
No, and especially when the main bad guy, or in this, I guess we call him a bad guy, the guy's supposed to be hitting on his wife,
Mm-hmm.
like in real life, is gay. It's like Luisa Gerardo Mendez, the guy who plays the one that's hitting on Kevin Hart's wife in this movie. It's like when I found that, I was always like, I was like, is this gonna go where the end is gonna realize that he's not hitting on his wife? Is it that he's just gay? He's gay in the movie too? it's like, please don't do that.
Well, there's that one scene where they go over to confront him, and he opens up the door, and you got that little hottie in the background walking around. I'm like, if they just closed the door and zoomed in on him and her and some evil plot or something, that would be at least
Right?
entertaining.
I mean, like at the end, just reveal that he's a drug lord, and he's a badass. He's like, he's gonna kill him, like,
Or twist it at the end.
yeah.
Make it where the kids go stay with Kevin Hart and she runs off with the guy and everybody's better for it. If you want to be progressive about whatever, that's fine, but do something with it. Again, this movie's not funny. Everything they try to do is just. I'm shocked. I'm numb. Really. I'm not upset. I'm not mad. Why would anybody watch this?
I just don't like the fact that every movie that Kevin Hart has to have where his wife is being hit. Like that was the other one, the Man from Toronto. His wife was being hit on by somebody, stuff. His wife is the one that runs the. She's the breadwinner. Every movie he's in, it feels that way. It's like it doesn't have to be that way. And I understand he's supposed to be the
mistaken identity for an assassin. Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
The only thing going for that was the fact you had Woody Harrelson in the movie. Was it a great movie? No, but it was all right because I had Woody Harrelson in there. But Woody Harrelson doing comedy is not my favorite thing. I prefer him more in what was that movie with Jesse Eisenberg, the original one they had come out, Zombieland.
Yep,
like that was a good role for him. Zombieland 2, not so good. It felt forced, and that's kind of how it felt forced in another movie. In this movie, it felt forced too. The humor. Um,
So the question really kind of comes up, why did we cover it? Well, because it was a popular item and it was something we wanted to give it
sure.
a shot. And, that's what happens. Obviously, we're fans of Cobra Kai, which we'll be reviewing soon, the new season 5 getting ready to drop. I'm looking forward to that and a bunch of other ones too. And we don't always agree, but this is one of those ones where we just on our own said, okay, let's try this. We didn't talk about it. And it came up and it's like, yeah, it's really that bad. And I don't always expect everybody to have the same opinions, which is great. But at the same time, it's like, with the Lord of the Rings effect going on, I go, well, I can see why. And I know a lot of people kind of had the opposite effect with Top Gun, where a lot of the word of mouth about it being better than the original got around, not just because it's a Tom Cruise thing, but at least with a Tom Cruise film, for the most part, you feel like he's bringing it and he's trying to raise it. And yes, he's trying to do everything he can to separate you from your money. And I have no problems with that. Take my money if it's going to be a good film. And makes you want to see the next Mission Impossible when you see how he comes out with the idea of what they're doing for the next stunt and the way they film it. You're like, oh, he's doing Van Damage, but he's
Yeah.
doing it up there on planes, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's built in. It's not insulting to you as an audience. And at least he's doing a good job of presenting that to you, even if he, felt the same way about a lot of Hollywood worshipers, wanting to see
So
films.
this movie is pretty much proven two things for me. That both these celebrities are nothing without having a better celebrity in the movie. Mark Wahlberg, not that funny anymore. Daddy's Home, wasn't that great? Uh, Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart's not great unless he's next to The Rock.
And I don't think The Rock's really that good.
Oh no, but
He's
their
got a great work ethic and he works
their
really hard.
chemistry
I get
together.
it,
You
but
see in
still.
Jumanji 2, the way they work out, just the way their humor, it's believable.
Yeah.
Kevin Hart by himself, it just shows again that he is not an A-list actor. He's probably a C-list actor. Same with Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg's fallen. He's doing more. Him doing comedy, not that great.
It reminds me of Law Abiding Citizen, where we go, man, great movie, just the absolute worst ending, and it's a complete failure of the people to realize that even through test screenings and everything else there too, that it's okay to give the audience what they want at the end, no matter how incredible it is. Otherwise, why would all these franchise movies be made out of comic books, right? The stuff that's completely unbelievable, right? You can do something and do it well enough where people can get some enjoyment out of it rather than just slapping some stuff together and assuming automatically that works. The effort level with this movie is obviously very low and looks like it took about a month to shoot tops. And I go, gosh, there's better stuff on daytime soap opera TV or telenovas or whatever than this kind of nonsense, and probably worth watching than this. I mean, really.
I would have rather watched a movie with like Vince Vaughn and David Spade or somebody else could actually I'm thinking like not really David Spade, but I'd still bring in Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn being Mark Wahlberg's character, and then you have Jason Bateman, because Jason Bateman is awesome as doing the normal guy, serious guy, and then having his life up, upheaved and stuff, and just thrown upside down. That's said. This felt like they're just basically like, oh, horrible bosses did so well. We should do this. The problem is that Kevin Hart cannot play a Jason Bateman character. He play the crazy kind of annoying character.
With what you're talking about with casting, let's go back to this. Here on the Xtreme Movie Show, we're pretty much we like to say we're 80s based because that's our favorite, and we branch off from there, right? Now, this movie, I don't know if it was rated R. I assume it was because of some of the
it was rated R,
right? Did this feel like an R-rated? Oh my gosh, I better not have my parents see this film.
It felt like it felt like a PG-13 movie.
Yeah, there was nothing R-rated about it to me from an 80s standard, because an 80s standard, you knew there was going to be a scene or two in there that's going to make you go ooh or
if it's rated R, it's usually because of nudity,
yep.
Or swearing, or someone's getting slasher at the film.
Yeah, this had none of it.
No, or they drop an F-bomb. That's why it's got an R.
And what was really uncomfortable here too is, okay, so you mentioned before about a son who basically in a very nice way is being forced to take keyboard lessons. Back in the old days, it would be piano lessons. Not that he's being monitored, or actually he is being monitored technically, which is creepy, but some parents do that these days. And so at the end of the talent show, when he goes in there and he doesn't want to do it, and he cuts the allegedly adult promo on his dad because he's caught him doing a bunch of stuff he shouldn't be doing. It's like, that was very cringy, and it was not funny. It wasn't done well at all. It felt extremely forced. It was probably the most uncomfortable part of the movie, even more uncomfortable than Seal showing up to work with Dr. Silk, aka Kevin Hart, on the keyboards, because he gave up on his real passion, playing music way back in the day or something. And it's just, oh man, what a waste. It's an hour and a half you'll never get back.
I'd rather watch, what's the other guy? He does those Madge movies.
I'd rather watch Killdozer, which we'll probably review here soon on the Xtreme Movie Show. I'm just saying, it'll be a lot more entertaining. It's got Robert Urich in there and some other guys, and it's one of those B movies that people have never heard of that need to get talked about because
or a bulldozer is possessed by a killer.
Well, evil machines are always good. All right, any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. You can skip this movie unless you are a fan of watching two actors who should be in a movie together alone. It's basically trying to be funny, and it just comes off forced.
It's not even bad enough where if you're really, really high, stoned, fucked up, or some combination to get some sort of joy out of it.
This is a movie.
Really it's painful.
I'd say you watch it with a friend and just make fun of it the whole entire time. That's what I can get through it.
All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. A movie to probably not watch. And that's me time. So have some more you time and do yourself a favor and pick something else out. And join us next week on the Xtreme Movie Show as we tackle on something else. For RDV from the Great Midwest and everybody involved here at the Xtreme Movie Show, I'm your host, Rob. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And thanks for not watching Me Time on Netflix. Have a good one. Have a good night. As always, stay extreme.
Xtreme Me Time.
Xtreme You Time.